The following is an exclusive presentation of WI Garden Media, the voice of Garden Talk Radio.
Coming up on the program today, we're going to discuss understanding Hügelkultur, as well as you thought it was hard to can, but they're really easy to do. And our guest is Michelle from michellesgardengrows.com will be with us, and we'll answer your garden questions. The hour's full, so join us.
You are listening to the most informationally packed hour of garden-focused radio in the country and on the internet with your host, husband and wife team Joey and Holly Baird. This is the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
And welcome to another edition of the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show. Happy to have you along. Thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Joey Baird. Beside me is my wife, co-host, best friend, and gardening partner,
Holly Baird.
This program is for you, about you, to help your garden grow better, to maintain your landscape, grow healthier trees, make your grass look greener, as well as preserving what you grow. Happy you're tuning in and allowing us to be part of your day just for a little bit. Whether you're listening to us on one of the 20 AM and FM frequencies broadcasting our program here in 2025, through our radio app, through our parent website, the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com, underneath the Radio Season 9 tab at the top of the page, podcast replay, or in-studio video replay, thank you so much for doing so. You want to be part of the program, you can certainly do that by sending us an email to gardentalkradio@gmail.com. That's gardentalkradio@gmail.com, or give us a call, toll free, coast to coast at 1-800-927-SHOW. 1-800-927-7469. Before we get in the program, Holly, it's time for this week's Joke of the Week.
All right, so I used to have a job making furniture out of plants.
It was a leafy business. It was a rooty business.
I tell you, it was no bed of roses.
No bed of roses. Okay.
This week's garden joke is brought to you by Rescue.com. American-made rescue products keep your family, home, and yard protected from pests like insects, wasps, hornets, yellow jackets, flies, ants, and more. Learn more at Rescue.com. That's RESCUE.com. So let's talk about Hügelkultur.
Okay.
So Hügelkultur is a German word. It translates basically as hill culture or mound culture. And so Hügelkultur is not a quick thing necessarily, and it's not temporary. So it's not like a pop-up raised bed or growing in 5-gallon buckets. It is a permaculture. Permaculture just basically means like permanent growing, permanent structure, whatever.
Fun fact, the first term meaning hill culture or mound culture was published in German gardening books in 1962.
Okay, fun fact.
And it's also Eastern Europe as well, not just the Germans. It's kind of throughout that area.
So some benefits to this is...
First of all, what is it? For people who don't have a visualization, let's draw a picture for them.
We should probably talk about that. So basically, it's buried logs and other woody debris buried into the soil, put into the soil to create like a raised garden beds of sorts. But the benefits is they have good water retention, good nutrient richness, and they foster a thriving soil ecosystem. So as the wood, the log breaks down, decomposes, it releases nutrients, it releases vitamins and minerals, as well as becomes basically a sponge, and then holds moisture as the soil needs. It will wick the moisture out of the wood into the soil, and these mounds can be 2 foot tall or 25 foot tall, and then peak and then come down the other side. There is no quote unquote measurements that this has got to be a Hügelkultur. It can be any size of a mound. It can also be trenched. So say you want to dig a trench and do this, you can do that too.
So you could kind of do that maybe in a low-lying area if you wanted to kind of create a swell, a little wetland, something that you have vegetation that really likes water or growing in water.
Yeah,
you can do that too.
Why not? So it's a trench or mound, and it's filled with layers of logs, branches, leaves, other organic matter, and then it's topped with the soil, compost, mulch, whatever you want to call it. So it is permanent because as it breaks down,
there's a lot of work to go in to build this, especially if you're going 20 feet high on both sides.
That's very high.
And with that, you're going to add multiple logs and build, an internal structure basically, and put 2 or 3 feet of dirt on the outside of that log or those logs on that hill. And now gardeners will do this as well. They will take and trench or the bottom of like a raised bed or an elevated raised bed, 24 or 36 inches high. They'll throw a lot of leaf debris or stumps and logs in the bottom to take up that empty space. In turn, that is breaking down and holding moisture in a sense of a hugelkultur concept. Break it down.
Yeah. So, it's a way to, so it decomposes over time, and the water, as you mentioned, acts like a sponge, or the decaying wood acts like a sponge, retains the moisture, and then it reduces the need for frequent watering over time. So again, this is something that
self-sustainable.
It's self-sustainable, and it's again not something that's going to happen the first season or the 6th season.
Yeah.
It takes a little bit of time. But as it decomposes, it adds to the soil, and a lot of people like this because it's self-sustaining. It offers a longer growing season, and it's ideal for various plants. So it's not like you can only plant certain things. You can plant a wide variety.
Right. However much you want to climb up the hill or reach to whatever elevation, you can grow. Rose bushes, berry bushes, fruit trees,
right.
Whatever.
I think that if I were to do hugelkultur,
yeah,
I would grow something that is, a perennial, some sort of edible perennial, like you said, berries.
Asparagus.
Asparagus. Something, because it's constantly being fed, and then it eliminates a lot of need for watering. So that way, it's like, why not grow something that's also going to grow for a long time?
It does the work for you.
Yeah.
It works for you. People will put like straw mulch on the outer portions of it, and again, any size, any shape. It's any size, but the shape has got to be like triangular. If you're looking at it from the end point, up, down, and a rounded point on the top.
So one thing to keep in mind is what kind of wood should you use.
Yes.
If you have wood that's already rotting,
boom,
that's perfect for hugelkultur. So if you're like, I got this pile in my back 40 that's rotting wood, you could put that to use. There's a few things what types of wood you want to avoid. Any sort of treated wood, cedar, and then anything that's allelopathic or toxic, like black cherry and black walnut, because black cherry and black walnut both put juglong into the soil, and you don't want that because
a natural protection chemical that the tree releases in order to protect itself from encroachment of other plant life.
So you don't want to add to the problem. Yeah, basically. You want to make sure that you're having success.
Now, you can grow vegetables in a hugelkultur mound. Pumpkins, cucumbers, anything you want. There's no limitations.
The other thing to keep in mind, depending on the size of the log, it will eventually kind of sink down. So if you start with, you're like, I want this to be, this certain height and have this hill-looking situation, it's not necessarily going to look like that type of hill. Like if you're trying to build a natural berm, perimeter, or something like that, it's going to sink down. So it's just over time. Right.
Now, these big hugelkulturs, this is not something that typically you're going to do with a shovel and a wheelbarrow. When these, and you can go online and look, they are bringing in very large industrial construction equipment, front loaders and bulldozers to create this one-time deal in order to create a hugelkultur of these substantial mounds. And there's certain people that will do 7, 8, 10 of these because they have a very large open area, and they bring in the construction equipment to do this and to do it right the first time. Most of our listeners, most of you guys are not going to go to that extreme. And if you do, good for you. But you can do this on a very small scale in the backyard to create whatever size you need or want to experiment with.
I think that if you feel like you are at a standstill with gardening and you want to try something new or different, and you're like, I've already tried these new vegetables, I've tried these new flowers, I need something to try, I would say try hugelkultur.
Kind of like a set it, forget it deal.
Yeah, and you could also...
it's not necessarily, you don't have to ever water.
Right. So you can also spend some time doing some research. You can spend some time picking, whatever plants you want to invest in and put into this hugelkultur. So it's a good little project if you feel like I need something different to garden or whatever. I think that's a kind of a fun project. Just like maybe making a specific garden situation. Like I have a little like goth garden, which is dark plants, all different dark plants. So yeah, it can kind of rejuvenate your interest in gardening.
Also, you use your topsoil, grass clippings, small twigs, branches, large logs, more grass clippings, leaf debris. That's kind of the consensus of...
Like you layer it.
You layer it, yeah. You layer it, and it based on the size of it, determines the longevity of which this will stay relatively intact, meaning it's not going to implode on itself as the logs and the leaf debris and the wood material biodegrades.
Right, and kind of from what I understand is there's no wrong way to do this aside from using the incorrect type of wood and maybe not being thoughtful about which plants you plant there, but you can always experiment. But it's like, you can pile up logs, you can pile up, as Joey mentioned, twigs, leaves, whatever.
Potentially decades this will last.
Yeah. So it's not like you're going to mess it up necessarily. As long as you don't use something like treated wood or cedar or the black walnut. Black cherry, yeah. So just keep that in mind.
Also, if you're going to do this and you're planning on doing this and you're like in the country and nobody's around, have at it. We have to say it. If you are going to do this in a residential area, be sure you talk and make sure you do the right coding, get the right permits.
Especially if you're like in an HOA or something. Yeah. Because you don't know what upset people. I mean, if you're
everything upsets an HOA.
Yeah. Or you just don't tell anybody what you're doing. You start doing this at midnight and
only do things at night. Well, Walton's Inc. has some things in which you can utilize that you don't have to do at midnight.
Right. So we are brought to you today by Walton's Inc. Listen,
insert your joke there.
Right. We know you care about where your food comes from, canning, preserving, etc. But what about the meat? At Walton's, you can get all the equipment, seasoning, and supplies to make sausage, jerky, and any other meat product your way to your high standards. And then you can also visit meatgistics.com. They have an informational site to help you make the best finished product. They have a full line of their own meat grinders, mixers, sausage stuffers, and more to help you go from animal to edible. Walton's everything but the meat. You can use code GROW50. That's GROW50 to save 10% off your orders of $50 or more.
When we return, hang out with us. We'll be discussing, I've heard it's hard to can, but really, in reality, it is not. You're tuned in to the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
Got a question for Joey and Holly? Send it via email anytime to gardentalkradio@gmail.com.
Good garden tools make gardening easier. Wisconsin-made Cobra Head tools simplify weeding, cultivating, digging, and planting. Favorites of professional gardeners, Cobra Head tools are durable, ergonomic, and easy to work with. Visit CobraHead.com and use coupon code SOIL for 10% off your order. David J. Frank, Southeastern Wisconsin's leading landscape company, is a landscaper you need. Their award-winning services include everything from lawn care, landscape maintenance, design, construction, renovation, irrigation, sustainability, and more. Big or small, let the experts at David J. Frank handle the hard work for you. Find out more at davidjfrank.com.
Mantis garden tiller cultivators are the perfect solution for any garden. With their gas-powered 2-cycle or 4-cycle engine, these powerful machines can till 9 or 16 inches of land without you breaking a sweat. And it doesn't stop there. Mantis's optional attachments allow you to aerate, plow, and more with the snap of a finger. Engineered with durability in mind, Mantis tiller cultivators will be your guaranteed garden companion for a long time. You can find more out and details at mantis.com.
A non-selective herbicide that is also USDA Bio-Preferred certified? You bet. Say goodbye to Roundup and hello to No More Weeds by Naturally Green Products. No More Weeds kills weeds with no harsh chemicals and no glyphosate. Safer on pets, No More Weeds has a proprietary sticking agent to use around gardens, pools, decks, patios, anywhere there are weeds. Available online at natgreenproducts.com, Amazon, and Walmart.com. Order yours today. The same great company that brings you no more bugs. Pomona's Universal Pectin is a high-quality pectin that gels reliably with low amounts of any sweetener. If you're trying to reduce the amount of sugar in your diet, you'll love Pomona's Universal Pectin. Now you can make healthy homemade jams and jellies sweetened to your taste. You can use sugar or honey to sweeten. Pomona's Universal Pectin keeps indefinitely when stored in an airtight container. Easy to use, versatile, and comes with directions and recipes in every box. Find out more and where to buy at PomonaPectin.com. Also available at natural food stores and online.
The Shore and Shore utility cart is designed to help you with your projects around the yard and get your garden work done with ease. With a load capacity of 400 pounds, telescoping sides, the ability to use as a flat bed, and the option to pull it behind your bicycle. This cart is ideal for use around the garden, yard, lake, beach, park, and more. In short, the Shore and Shore is the most versatile cart in the market. Check us out at shoreandshore.com and get yours today.
Totally Tomato is a family-owned and operated gardening company with the largest selection of tomatoes online. Use code 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at totallytomato.com. That's code 15TG25.
Welcome back to the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show. Thank you so much for being with us today, allowing us to be a little bit part of your day. Canning is a activity that was a regular thing years and decades ago, and now it's, I don't know, has it faded away? Is it coming back? What
I think it's like faded away, but people are finding interest in it again. And it's becoming like, I don't know, like sourdough, you know? It's becoming like a thing.
Ebbs and flows?
Ebbs and flows, yeah. And I think a lot of people could use canning advice, help, I don't know, direction. So, with that being said,
people often choose not to can because, I've heard it's difficult, or I've heard horror stories about bad things happening to either the device that they are using, or the mechanisms in which, or the food in which they're canning.
Right. And so that's absolutely correct. And they also think that it's a lot of work. And it can be work.
It's not worth it. I can just go to the store.
Right. It can be work, but it also depends on what you're canning. So when we talk about things that are actually easy to can, I'm going to refer to kind of two different categories. One is like things that are super simple to can and don't require a lot of extra labor. And then ones that are easy to can because they're just kind of foolproof, but they might require a little bit more time, a little bit more work. So a lot of people, for some reason, think that jam is easy to can. Jam is easy to can.
Jam it up.
And I thought this too, but it's not that it's hard. It's just that you really have to know what you're doing. A lot of these recipes don't call for enough pectin, so then your jam doesn't set.
Pomona Pectin. Pomona Universal Pectin. Also, with the jam, with any of these canning recipes, this is a time-sensitive thing. It's got to be done in a boom, boom, boom manner. It's not like, I'll do a little bit now, go out and mow the grass and finish it this afternoon.
Yeah, except for like maybe pasta sauce or something that you have to cook down.
For 98% of the items.
So anyway, let's talking about jam. It does take a little bit of finessing, if you will, but using the Pomona Universal Pectin is helpful, and also just making sure you have some patience, because sometimes you do have to cook stuff to a certain temperature, etc. And that's what makes it a little bit more complicated. Now, if you want something super easy...
What's the difference between jam and jelly?
They're the same, but jelly usually has fruit chunks in it.
Okay. And which one can be made just from juice alone?
That's jelly. No, I'm sorry. Jam has fruit chunks. Jelly does not.
And you can go get a bottle of juice basically from the grocery store and turn it into jam.
You can.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So you can make like grape jelly, guava jelly.
Any flavor you want.
Pineapple.
You got to watch the sugar, right?
Mountain Dew.
Or is that a concern?
You have to use a certain amount.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, some things that are really, really simple to can and don't typically take a lot of effort is whole fruit. Now, if it's whole fruit, you do have to peel. So like we used to can a lot of peaches. You have to peel the peaches, but that's pretty simple to do. You can just do like a little blanching method where you put them in hot water, put them in an ice bucket or ice bath, and then they peel pretty easy.
And a peeler will also with time. Yeah. Now with all of these, it's either half pint, or quart. You're not That's about the size in which you don't can anything in a half gallon.
No, half gallon. The only thing you can can is grape juice and apple juice.
I believe so.
Yeah. So let's just stick here.
The salsa.
And so I want to talk about things that are simpler to can. So whole fruit is one, or like fruit chunks, whatever. And that includes also tomatoes. So if you're trying to do like stewed tomatoes, pretty simple. Again, it's just like the peeling. Doesn't require a lot of cooking process. This is the stuff that you can just can. I don't want to say quickly, but it's a little bit less labor intensive than other things.
But with tomatoes, you got to add some lemon juice or acidity to that.
Yeah, but that's not like difficult.
No, it's not difficult.
Talking about the process here.
Right, yeah.
And then anything pickled, but cucumber pickles, for the most part, pretty simple. You just usually cook it a little bit, add the vinegar, whatever spices, the brine, including like pickled peppers, we did pickled Swiss chard.
Swiss chard stems.
That was weird.
You can do pickled asparagus. You can do pickled zucchini. You can do dilly beans. You can do corn salsa.
Yeah, so we'll get to salsa.
Yeah.
But anything pickled, that is pretty simple for the most part. But pickled cucumbers, it's not that it's complicated, but you have to have the right cucumbers. You need to work very quickly, otherwise they can turn mushy.
The right cucumbers, meaning that the title encapsulates pickling cucumbers, not Market More or any other type of variety. Pickling cucumbers, because they are a more denser material in the cucumber itself to be able to prolong the crispness in the jar during the heat.
Right, and that's why you want to work quickly, because you don't want to overcook them, because that's what makes them mushy. Nobody likes mushy cucumbers. Gross. Okay, so we have cucumbers, whole fruit. Now, things like salsa and pasta sauce kind of go hand in hand. They take a little bit more work because you have to do some chopping, or you have to do some straining, or you have to do some sort of like breaking down preparation. But it does give you good results, especially your own homemade salsa. Very delicious, and you can control the heat. You can kind of control
the heat, meaning the spice level.
Spice level, yeah. You can control, like, maybe you don't want as much onion in there, or you don't want as much pepper or whatever. That's something that you can customize to what you want.
While still following the precise recipe for the ingredients that is required to make it safe.
Right. You don't want to add extra onion, but you can, like, say that you're like, I want to add half the amount of onion. You can do that. It's not going to mess with the safety of the canned product. Pasta sauce, this is something that does sometimes take a while to cook down, and that can be...
You got a quick way with the slow cooker.
It's not quick, it's just less labor intensive. So what you
don't burn in the bottom of the pot, yeah.
You would just take your slow cooker, put your pasta sauce in there, and then you want to make the lid go ajar. So whether you take like wood dowels or something, because you want the heat, like the moisture to escape. So you can do that, or you can just leave it on the stove and check it periodically. I work from home now, so I did this a couple of years ago, and I would just check it, every time I took a little break, whatever, kept it on low, and stirred it. And then Joey works from home too, so he would stir it too. That is kind of convenient. And then we have, I talked about salsa. Relish can be more timely, and you have to chop things, but if you have a food processor, that'll cut down on the chopping time. But the timely part is sometimes you have to let this stuff sit in like salt water overnight or for a few hours.
In a brine itself.
In a brine, and then you do strain it and things like that. So it's not like, when I say timely, it's not like actual working time, it's just like waiting time, basically. So that is something that you might enjoy. There's a lot of different relishes these days, and
cucumber relish, zucchini relish, Jerusalem artichoke relish.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of more, but yeah. And then the salsa, I mean, you can have anything from mango salsa, peach salsa, pineapple salsa. There's a lot of corn salsa, and it's a salsa you are adding either like lime or lemon juice, vinegar, whatever to it, because that helps.
Onion relish, corn relish, cranberry orange relish, green tomato relish, hot pepper relish, sweet pickle relish. Fill in the blank.
All the relish.
Uh-huh.
So then there's chutney.
What is that?
Chutney is almost like a fruit salsa, but it's not savory. It's more sweet. It's like chopped fruits. So we made a pear chutney that I think had like cranberries in it or something. And a lot of people put them on different meats, especially like pork or ham.
So instead of a barbecue sauce, you would put this in substitute.
It's not a sauce.
Instead of using a topping like a barbecue sauce, some people would choose a chutney instead.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is easy to make, but it does require chopping. So it really depends. Like, do you want to chop stuff or not?
Well, they have so many new tools and devices for the kitchen where
I like that slam chop.
The slam chop, yeah. So, and it gives you universal. Some of it does require a little more strength to make it happen, but it goes quickly if you have the muscle to do such, and it's all uniformed.
Right. And I think that some of these are definitely worth it because it's stuff that you can. If you wanted to give this stuff as gifts, if you wanted to...
Once you figure out how good it is, you don't give it away.
You want something that you can use to enhance, your meals. A lot of people are nowadays like foodies and trying to enjoy things, different foods on a different level. And this is one of those things. Learning how to can, doing the process is worth it because you have something for the future. You have something on your shelves. You can plan meals around it. You could even, hey, I have to bring a side dish. What can I bring? And you can bring your own salsa. You could do like a salsa flight. You could have corn salsa, peach salsa, mango salsa. Impress your friends. You don't even impress your friends, but it does give you, there's been times where I've gone to potlucks at work when I was like, I don't know what to bring, and then I brought something I can, and people are like, this is the best salsa I've had in my life, and blah, blah, blah. So,
to add to the list, mustard.
Oh, yeah, mustard.
Mustard is a very easy condiment to make. Briefly, what does that consist of?
Mustard seeds and vinegar.
And you can add whatever type, like cranberry mustard or spicy mustard or beer mustard. You can
cherry.
Any combination that doesn't even exist in the marketplace.
Right. You want to follow recipe, but you can find recipes. And I actually took a mustard class through the Milwaukee Rec Department, and it was cool because I didn't know how easy mustard was to make, and it's super easy, and it's like foolproof.
Well, and
that you want to do in the 4 ounce jars,
the very small ones.
Yeah.
What you would typically use on, let's say, a hot dog out of a bottle of mustard, you would use a fraction of that with the homemade stuff because it is so much more flavorful and enriched. Not so much like burn your mouth up, but it's just there's so much more flavor to it compared to what's in the yellow bottle that you buy off the shelf. Quickly, with all of these that you've just listed, do these have to be water bath, pressure can, or could you do a refrigerated version?
So, like, you can do some refrigerated versions, like refrigerated pickles, salsa, pasta sauce. I think any of these you could probably do refrigerated, except for maybe, I'm not really sure about the relish of the chutney. But
there is an option for some of those to do it in the refrigerator, not needing a pot and water and all that.
Some places to find recipes.
Okay.
One is freshpreserving.com. They have a lot of good recipes. The National Center for Home Food Preservation has like the process. They have some recipes, but they'll give you an idea of like you might need X amount of tomatoes to make X amount of sauce, and that's helpful, especially if you're growing things or if you're going to the farmer's market. And then Better Homes and Gardens has good information, and there's a master canner out of California, and it's SB Canning, like Santa Barbara, canning.com.
All righty. Well, summer, Holly, is in full swing, and those nasty Japanese beetles are in your yard, your backyard, your front yard, wreaking havoc on your vegetation.
If you're looking to control beetles without damaging the environment, look no further than Beetle Gone from Phylum Bioproducts. Derived from a naturally occurring soil bacteria, Beetle Gone is the only organic solution that successfully controls beetle invaders. Just mix the powder with water and spray on your plants. Once ingested, the target pests will stop feeding and die. And since it's an organic BT product, you know it's a great choice to use on your fruits and veggies in addition to your ornamental flowers and trees.
I see this on social media that, people are having problems with Japanese beetles. Beetle Gone is the answer. BeetleGone.com. It works, and it's the only product out there that is beneficial, that is safe around beneficial insects such as ladybugs, butterflies, and bees, and has no water toxicity. BeetleGone.com. It will work. BeetleGone.com. Hang out with us when we return. Michelle from Michelle'sGardenGrows.com will be with us. You're tuned in to the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
Have a garden question? Give Joey and Holly a call now or anytime 24/7. Just dial 1-800-927-SHOW. If you can't get through, leave a message and they will call you back. Call now 1-800-927-SHOW.
Azure Standard is America's premier family-owned online store for organic foods and healthy products for your home and garden. They deliver directly to families and commercial customers through over 3,500 drop points across all 50 states. Azure Standard strives to make grocery shopping easy, bringing all your needs to one convenient pickup location. As a trusted national health food distributor, Azure Standard offers bulk and specialty health foods to communities nationwide. With over 12,000 products, each one is approved and carefully sampled to ensure the highest quality. Azure Standard holds firm to non-GMO, organic, and natural standards. From food and beauty products to household items, nutritional supplements, animal care, hobby supplies, and even garden essentials, Azure Standard truly has everything for your daily living. Visit AzureStandard.com. That's AZURE Standard.com. Use promo code Joey and Holly 15 at checkout to get 15% off for new customers who open an account for the first time and place a minimum order of $100 or more, shipped to a drop location of your choice. That's code Joey and Holly 15 at AzureStandard.com. Azure Standard is AZURE Standard.com.
Jung Seed Company is a family-owned and operated gardening company since 1907 with the largest selection of seeds and plants online. Use coupon code 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at jungseed.com. That coupon code is 15TG25 to save 15% off your order at jungseed.com.
R.H. Shumway is a family-owned and operated gardening company with a large selection of seeds and plants online. You can use code 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at rhshumway.com. That's code 15TG25. Garden like a pro in 3 easy steps and receive customized fertilizer recommendations for your garden or lawn. Soil Savvy helps you determine what nutrients your plants need to thrive. Never again over-apply nutrients they don't need. A patented process that makes you a smart gardener. To get your soil test kit, go to mysoilsavvy.com.
Have insects such as aphids or fungal gnats invaded your plants? Fight back with Summit Year-Round Spray Oil and Summit Mosquito Bits. Organic Summit Year-Round Spray Oil kills insect pests on indoor and outdoor plants. All natural mosquito bits kill fungal gnats larvae in container plants. Both products are harmless to people, plants, and wildlife. Summit Year-Round Spray Oil and Summit Mosquito Bit are available at garden centers, hardware stores, and at SummitResponsibleSolutions.com. One Sweet Earth makes the last garden bed you'll ever need. Strong, simple, sustainable. One Sweet Earth beds slide together in minutes. No tools, no rot, no junk. Durable, non-toxic, woman-owned, made in the USA. Visit OneSweetEarth.com. Save your back. Easily and quickly remove trees and shrubs from your property with the Weed Wrench. Find it at weed-wrench.com. Made in the USA. Use coupon code WEED to save $10 off your Weed Wrench at weed-wrench.com. Welcome back to the Garden with Joey and Holly radio show. Thank you for allowing us to be part of your day just for a little bit. Happy to have you along. Miss any of those coupon codes? Want to find out more about all the companies that financially support the program to allow you to hear it each week on your favorite radio station? The WisconsinVegetableGardener.com underneath the Money tab and Season 9 tab at the top of the page. Well, Holly, let's go to the hotline and bring in our guest for this week.
Michelle is a registered nurse and passionate home gardener, helping you grow food and find calm. She shares organic gardening tips, inspirational and practical tools, and resources to support your journey toward a productive and peaceful home garden. She shares this on her website, Michelle's Garden Grows. Welcome to the program, Michelle.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for taking time out of your day, not only to educate Holly and myself, but all of our listeners.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here to talk with you.
So how did you get into gardening? Was it something you found early in life or later on in life, or did you working as an RN impact the decision to garden? How did all that come to be?
Well, I got started gardening later in life at the ripe middle age of 48, and that was just 5 years ago. And I kind of had some exposure to gardening as a little girl. Back in the 80s, my dad would periodically grow an in-ground garden with lots of boring rows and lots of Seven dust, if you remember that from long ago.
Yep.
It did not appeal to me at all in those days. But I do remember going to my aunt and uncle's when I was a little girl, and they had this beautiful backyard garden. And I used to play and pretend like little children do outside back in those days. And I think that's when the seed was planted about gardening for me. But as I got older, I wanted to explore gardening, but life didn't really give me the time for it. And I did work as a registered nurse for many years in healthcare and stepped away for a season to raise my kids, care for family, help my husband with lots of endeavors. So I spent a lot of years pouring into other people's lives. But in 2021, life finally gave me a bit of a margin to start checking out gardening, and I realized I'd never had a hobby. So my husband got to work and helped me build a wonderful space in our backyard. And you were asking about the impact as an RN with gardening.
Yes.
I would say that my training as a nurse and working as a nurse definitely influenced my love for gardening, because I've always been drawn to science, and we know that there's a lot of science in gardening. I've always been drawn to caregiving and paying close attention to little details. And believe it or not, nursing and gardening might seem kind of different, but they actually have a lot in common. And things like nurturing life, whether it's caring for plants or people. As a nurse, and observational skills, you need sharp observational skills to notice small changes and respond quickly. And also the science, as already mentioned, and the impact of health. I noticed a lot of chronic diseases could often be traced to our lifestyles or to people's lifestyles. And, wellness includes not only nutrition and fitness, but also stress management.
Email anytime to Garden Talk Radio.
And I'm sure you guys are very well aware that research is showing more and more how gardening is so important to health, and time in green spaces lowers stress and blood pressure and helps with a number of different diseases and increases our serotonin and dopamine. So I would say that's how the nursing really ties into gardening for me.
That's really true. There's many benefits, not just from getting vegetables or flowers, but just the health benefits as well. And there's so many studies on that. So you grow in metal garden beds. Why do you grow that method and maybe not other methods?
Well, those are our main method of gardening, is with the raised metal garden beds, but we also have green stock planters, vertical planters, grow bags, and we do have an in-ground flower bed. But what really got us started with metal garden beds, because that's our main way of gardening, is that when we started gardening in 2021, we took some shortcuts, and you probably heard, I don't know if you've heard the phrase that the cheap pay twice.
Right.
And so we definitely paid twice, because it took us a good bit of work and expenses to get our space in our backyard ready to put a kitchen garden. And so we kind of took some shortcuts with the raised beds at the time. It was in 2021, and I think that's when lumber prices were really high.
Uh-huh.
And we used some untreated pine. And after 4 years, those pine beds, the wood beds, were completely rotting and giving us all kinds of problems. So we switched to the metal garden beds, Birdie's beds. And I would say the biggest reason is durability, because, like I said, started gardening in middle age, and we're not getting any younger. And so durability is really important. We don't want to have to go back out again in 4 or 5 years, maybe 10 years, and have to replace boards and that type of thing. So durability, and I would also say they're very customizable. The beds can be organized in different shapes. One bed can be organized in 5 different shapes, so they're very customizable. And really, the aesthetics was really important to me as well, because the style of home we have like a colonial style home, and we got the kind of steel gray, charcoal gray beds, and they really kind of make the space look like it's an extension of our home. And so I would say the aesthetics also. And you can also get really good soil control in the raised beds that you might not be able to get in in-ground beds, depending on where you live.
Now, knowing now what you wish you knew then, would you have went to the expense of buying like Western red cedar, or would you have went with raised beds 5 years ago when you started the project, buy once, cry once, and move on with life?
Well, I kind of thought, I think I would have considered going with those type of beds that you're talking about, the cedar, but yeah, that's a hard one. I really like both. I think I really like the look of the raised beds. Now, my husband tried to get me to get the raised beds in the past, but the ones he was trying to show me were these really shiny silver ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I said, no, those are too shiny. Don't want those. And so these are really like just very aesthetically pleasing. They're very matte, and
very
I just think
earth-tony.
What's that?
They have kind of earth tone to them. They blend in.
Yeah. They just really match our home well. Although I did tell him I would like the cedar beds as well back then, but he said too expensive. But
tell us.
I think they're both good options.
Tell us about your website.
My website. Okay, so I originally, just to go a little bit back to when I started gardening 5 years ago, I got into using Instagram at that time as well, and I started taking photos and videos of my garden, like you see people do, and I was just kind of doing it as like a little journal or whatever, and so I started with Instagram, but then I originally started my website because I wanted a space I actually owned to document, sort of like a hub of all I was learning. Because when I started gardening 5 years ago, even though I was 48, I knew nothing about gardening, nothing. And so I had to learn little by little. And as I started learning, I was taking videos, pictures, writing stuff down. And really the website was for a place for me to put all of this information, and it's still very new. In 2024, last year, a good friend of mine encouraged me to start the site, and she helped me get it going in the beginning. But then after that, with the help of my husband, I slowly learned how to organize it and customize it myself. And so really, michellesgardengrows.com is a collection of resources. It has all my blog posts. Doesn't have a ton of blog posts, but it's getting there, and photos and tips on seed starting, book recommendations, a monthly garden book club. I've got resources of, where to get native plants in your area, identifying garden pests, and even how to certify your yard as a wildlife habitat. So I'm trying to just build a lot of resources for myself and others. And I have my discount codes on there from brands I've partnered with. So it's really just a hub, a resource for people to be inspired and find links and resources.
That sounds like a very complete website. So you aid or help the leafcutter bees with a pollinator house. So how is that going? And I guess tell us more about leafcutter bees, what you enjoy about them, and would you recommend the pollinator house to other people?
Yes, certainly. I'm definitely not an expert in leafcutter bees, but I've been kind of experimenting and learning a little bit about them over the past few summers. And it's actually been a really fun experience. I just learned, I'm learning about them, but I just released my leafcutter bees from Kind Bee Farms in early June, so about a month or so ago. And the females have been super busy building their cocoons in the nesting tubes of the pollinator house. So I got a pollinator house, and it comes with little leaf cutter bee cocoons. And when you open the little package that they come in, it's got like a little plastic lid that's breathable so they can breathe. Some of them emerge before you open it, and some emerge afterwards, like weeks later. But so you have these little tiny nesting tubes in the pollinator house, and after the bees start emerging out of the cocoons, the females go out and cut little circular pieces of your plants, just little pieces, and they start making new cocoons with those, and then building little cocoons for their young, and then they get really busy for about 4 or 5 weeks, and then it slows down. And a little bit about leafcutter bees is what I'm learning is, well, I know one thing, they're gentle. They're non-stinging and gentle. That's a big thing to know. And they're solitary, which means they don't live in hives like honeybees do. And what makes them stand out is that it's the way they pollinate. They're often called super pollinators, and that's because they have fuzzy bellies, sort of like a little pollen brush. And they zoom from flower to flower, and they spread pollen really efficiently. And my understanding is unlike honeybees, they don't groom the pollen off their bodies, so more of it actually gets transferred to plants, which is supposed to mean better pollination, especially for things like squash, cucumbers, and melons. And I definitely need help with that because I have a tough time with squash and cucumbers because of squash vine borers and cucumber beetles in this area. So I can use all the help I can get with those.
And the pollinating bees, they do overwinter, my understanding, right? So you can, based on the species?
Yeah, they're supposed to be able to overwinter, but it takes, there are some possibilities that could happen, though. I understand that they could get mold, and so you have to be very diligent to store them properly. Like I said, I did that last year, and I don't think I did everything exactly right the first year, so I wasn't as successful with that, but I did get a new order of the little bees this year, and I'm going to try that again and see if I have better have more success with it. But yes, you are supposed to be able to overwinter them, but you have to keep it. There's certain things you have to do to keep them clean and keep it stored properly.
Well, Michelle, we greatly appreciate the time and the information. How can people, again, find your website and find all your blogs and your Instagram?
You can find me at michellesgardengrows.com, and it's Michelle's Garden Grows on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook as well.
Michelle, thank you so much for your time and your information.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Absolutely.
Have a great summer.
Absolutely. You as well. And when we return, it's going to be your garden questions and our garden answers. You're tuned into the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
Got a question for Joey and Holly? Send it via email anytime to gardentalkradio@gmail.com.
4-Jar Canning Supply, your one-stop shop for all your canning needs, where old ways meet new in every jar. They are a family with decades of home canning experience, offering top-quality products and outstanding service. Never run out of canning lids again. Whether you're a seasoned canner or just starting out, their extensive range of canning products will elevate your canning game. 4jars.com. Inspired by the homemade preserves of our childhoods, they want to share that same joy with you. They deeply care about your family's health and understand the importance of homemade, nutritious meals. That's why they offer high-quality products to help you preserve your food. Quality canning lids, pressure canners, vacuum seal machines, and all the tools you need to get the job done. 4Jars has you covered. Our canning lids provide the perfect airtight seal for any regular, wide, or gym-sized jar. With the thickest lids on the market, they provide long-lasting freshness, up to 18 months, and are rust-resistant, ensuring your preserves stay secure. Use code 4jars25 to save 10% off your order at 4jars.com. That's FORJARS25 to save 10% off your order at 4jars, FORJARS.com. Check out ivorganics.com. It's America's leading garden product YouTube channel. IV Organic products are innovative, organic, effective, and proudly USA made to help you achieve your best growing season. Use coupon code RADIO10 at checkout and save 10% on your entire order at ivorganics.com. That coupon code again is RADIO10 to save 10% on your order at ivorganics.com. If you could double the life of your raised bed boxes by sealing the wood with a clear, non-toxic wood preservative, would you? Well, now you can with a clear, penetrating product called Internal Wood Stabilizer. It's 100% non-toxic and easy to apply. Seal your untreated wood surfaces, even chicken coops, by spraying on Internal Wood Stabilizer. It's invisible, seals the wood from the inside out, and never wears off. Recommended by organic gardening experts. Internal Wood Stabilizer. Check it out at timberprocoatingsusa.com. Vermont Bean Company is a family-owned and operated gardening company with the largest selection of seeds online. Use coupon code 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at vermontbean.com. That coupon code is 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at vermontbean.com. Welcome back to the Garden with Joey and Holly radio show. Happy to have you along. It's time for your garden questions and our garden answers. By the way, if you want to find out more information about the sponsors and support the program financially to allow them to be heard on your station each week, the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com underneath the Season 9 tab at the top of the page. Garden question answer time. Send your questions on over to gardentalkradio@gmail.com. That's gardentalkradio@gmail.com. Or you can give us a call toll free, coast to coast, 24/7, 365. That number is 1-800-927-SHOW. 1-800-927-SHOW. If we don't pick up, leave a message and we will get back to you with the answer to your question.
Okay, so first question here is I have harvested my turnips and the roots are damaged with half tunnel-like scars. What happened?
Okay, so you probably have the turnip root maggot. They are larvae of small flies that burrow into and feed off the roots of turnips and other cruciferous vegetables. These pests can cause significant damage, resulting in stunted growth, wilting, unsightful tunneling scars in the roots. Though the damage may be external, you can cut that portion out and still consume the root or the edible portion of the plant. You can plant turnips and other root crops turnips are kind of considered a cool weather crop, so is rutabagas, radishes. You can plant these later in the season to effectively strategize against planting them during the springtime when the root maggot fly and the adults are laying eggs and hatch. So you can wait until mid to late summer to plant these or do a fall planting, and that will help. Now, if you are in the situation like this individual is, there's not much you can do right now. However, avoid planting turnips in the same location for 3 years. Disrupt the life cycle there. Make sure if you're going to plant them in other portions of your garden, they're significantly farther enough away from the area that is infected. You can use floating row coverage. You can use yellow sticky traps, beneficial nematodes, solarization of the area to bake the soil to kill the pupil of the larva. So there's things in which you can do later, since the rutabagas, the turnips, whatever you're growing may already be affected now, radishes. So it is the turnip root maggot. So you can look that up and do your research on what's going to be best for your particular garden. All right, I have pine cones I have placed around containers to keep cats and squirrels from digging in them. Is there something additionally I can add to the pine cones to repel the squirrels?
Good. I don't know, would chili powder work?
Chili powder would work, yeah.
Because they don't like that because then they'll get it in their noses.
Yeah, in just a minute.
Yeah. What else?
Chili powder would be fine.
Chili powder would probably be the best.
Now, you're going to have to reapply in some instances based on how much it rains or you water in order to keep that powder fluffy and dry. But typically in this situation, that's why some bird seed manufacturers include this, is because birds don't have the ability to pick up that sensory. They don't have that sensory mechanism in their taste buds in order to pick up that spice. Squirrels do. Typically, when the squirrel knows that is a place where it's not fun to be around, they don't come back. They don't go back tomorrow and go, I wonder if they took the spiciness away from they go elsewhere. So keep that in mind. So yes, you can do that as well. And we recommend you can put pine cones, if you're in an area where you can get a lot of them for free, like at a park or something. This is a way in order to deter cats from utilizing containers and raised beds, grow bags as litter boxes. Yeah. All right. I have purchased Bob's Red Mill Organic Medium Grade Stone Ground Cornmeal for my tomatoes. I noticed it doesn't specifically say yellow on the bag, just organic whole grain. I thought it was the best choice for the price. Is this okay to use to deter early blight around my tomatoes? If so, how much do I use? And explain briefly the applicational rate. John, listen to us on WAAM 1600 AM and 92.7 FM out of Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Yeah, that's the correct one. It would specifically say white if it was white cornmeal.
If it's yellow in color, you're good to go. Yeah.
And so what you want to do is, and just Joy had briefly mentioned this in the question from John, is that what happens is that putting that cornmeal around your tomato plants helps with something called trichoderma, and it helps prevent the early blight that's naturally in everybody's soil. That's a bacteria. So what you want to do is at the time of planting, or as soon as you pick up your cornmeal from your local store, you want to take a handful and you put it around the base of the tomato plant. And then we highly also recommend using mulch around the tomato plants as well. And then end of July, mid to early August, you want to do this again, a handful around each tomato plant, just to help kind of boost that trichoderma.
Early blight is the bad bacteria in your soil that, when splashed up on your tomato leaves, will start to discolor it yellow to brown to killing it and progressively working up the plant. And by the time frost comes, your plant has fruit hanging off of it and no leaves because it is dead because of the early blight. So this is a way in which prevention can be occurred, and we have done this since 2014, and our tomatoes are as green as the day we planted them, the day frost kills them, and they're lush and they're producing all the way up to frost because of the whole grain cornmeal with the trichoderma fighting the early blight, as well as mulching around the base of the tomato plant to additionally prevent splash up on the leaves, and trimming any of the lower leaves and branches 6 to 8 inches above the ground, and anything from the canopy that would potentially have splash up of soil on them to create early blight on the leaves. Does putting used coffee grounds in the garden bed helpful? If so, which plants? I would think just put in the compost bin would be better.
You can put in the compost bin, but also if maybe you don't have a compost bin, you can put it with any plants. You just want to make sure that you do mix it into the soil. You don't want to just put it over the top because it will form this crust.
Also, you lose the nitrogen.
Yeah, so you want to make sure you kind of mix it in. You don't have to aggressively mix it in. You can put it beside your plants. You can just take like a little hand cultivator and kind of cultivate it in. But either way, you do want to mix it in. And there's no really particular plants that's going to make a difference with. But you do want to make sure that you kind of spread it apart, spread it around evenly.
Now, adding coffee grounds in this magnitude or this quantity of a couple of handfuls here or there, coffee grounds does not they have about 2% nitrogen, 0.5% phosphorus, and 0.5% potassium. This is not going to revolutionize the nutrient value or the pH, the nutrient value in your soil. There is no concern of affecting the acidity or alkaline levels in your soil because all of that, it's a neutral base. It's been brewed out during the coffee making process. It is an It will help worms. Worms like it. It's an organic matter that's better beneficial in your garden than in the trash and at the city dump. Well, we are out of time, Holly, and we thank you for yours. Missed any portion of the program today or would like to revisit it, you can certainly do that by going to your favorite search engine, typing in the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show. Find all of season, or our parent website, thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com, underneath the season 9 tab, and all 9 seasons are available for listening pleasure. Tune in to the program next week where we'll be discussing using food scraps for multiple beneficial reasons and seed saving. Our guest is edible landscape expert Michael Judd will be with us, and we'll answer your garden questions. So until next week, for
Holly Baird,
I'm Joy Baird, and we will see you in the garden.